So on the side, I always like to watch something that's usually got a lot of hype or is definitely different. And I guess if you want to get technical hipster wise, because I like to see something that hasn't gotten that huge mainstream attention, nor, I guess, what's the words I'm looking for, have been just blown out of the water and destroyed by fandoms, which is very, 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 very common these days. And, it sucks because the way I see it, everybody should be able to enjoy what they like to watch. Sure, you have opinions here and there, and I know I do, and I know a lot of people do. We like things that we like, and we like, adventuring a little bit, some people into newer territories, and some people like to stick with what they know. And that's totally fine. However, I just recently watched, as you can see from the title, Black Lagoon. It was one that's been on my list for a long time. Obviously, it's been out for almost 20 years now. And it's not necessarily an unpopular one because if I looked at statistically correctly, it does have almost 1 million members that have watched it on my anime list. Now, my anime list is never the greatest place for comparing statistics in the anime world. Considering we won't get too deep into that because I don't want to get freaking exiled from my anime list because it is a great place to keep my lists. However, the opinions of the people on there are ludicrous sometimes. So I recently went into this kind of, not knowing what was going on, though I do enjoy, some adult cast, organized crime type of crap. And I really kind of just was kind of burnt out on rom-coms as of lately. There's a few really good ones airing right now, but this season for me pretty much is Oshinoko, Jigokuraku, and Heavenly Delusions. Like, that's it. Like, everything else I am enjoying, like Familia Cafe. Great harem series. However, I needed a change up. I needed something dark. I needed something that was going to hit the spot, and this was it. Holy shit. So, pretty much, let's just jump right into this series. It was so great. It's technically divided into 2 cores. You got the first core, the second core, and then we've got a 5-part OVA. We'll get to that at the very end, how I feel about that. But the series pretty much takes place with our main character, Rock, who is this corporate guy trying to get up the ladder, and one day a business deal that he tries to do in Thailand, not good. He pretty much comes to find out that he becomes a hostage to the Black Lagoon company, which are our main characters of this series. Pretty much come to find out that the main guy gets his ship back, but he doesn't want anything to do with Rock. He doesn't care if he dies. He doesn't give a shit. He got what he wanted, and he got what he wanted. So now Rock's in this hard place, right? He's going to become friends with the mercenaries, ironically, because he has nothing left to live for, to go home to. And why just keep trying to climb up the corporate ladder and not move anywhere? Your life, at that point is just meaningless. He's just been doing what he's been told to do so he can go up and go up, kind of, just like an average Japanese man. And so now he's got this decision. Do I join these, thugs and everybody and kind of just go on with their lives? Do I just start a new life, or do I just go back? Rock decides to stay, and he meets, he's already met them because he's been abducted, but Revi, the gun-slinging, 2-handed badass. You got Dutchy, if I remember correctly, he's an ex-Vietnam vet. And to add to the situation, I don't know, Revi is supposed to be half American, half Chinese. Dutch and Benny, which is the other character I will introduce here, are also American from what I do know of. And I do always laugh in the scenes where they got Revi speaking English, and that's more or less season 2 or the second core. But he's stuck with these 3 now, and he gets to kind of adventure the lands of being mercenaries in the beautiful town of Ronapur, and it's this like city where it's just like corruption and crime, and we've got like people, like characters that necessarily the main characters, but there's like Ida and Balalika, who is this ex-Russian, and by Russian I mean Soviet Union military leader, and then Ida's this undercover CIA agent, and you've got the Chinese mafia, and you've just got this whole legion, right? This show is just jam-packed with action. If you're looking for, like, the best way I could compare it would be, honestly, Hollywood, but actually good. If you're into, like, clear shoot 'em ups, alcohol, violence, freaking drama, this is the series for you. There's a little nudity, and I'd definitely say it'd be rated R if there was a rating, but with this team together, things kind of start to tip off, right? There's drama in the city, considering the fact that there is obviously crime-related things, and Rock is pretty much comes to be just the strategical guy, because he doesn't like guns, he doesn't like death, he doesn't like the violence. He just wants to start something new and starts to kind of fall for them. We've got this like low-key romance going on that never really gets anywhere, at least in the anime, between Revy and Rock, and I really do enjoy it because Revy has that characteristic personality of somebody who obviously had a very rough childhood and upbringing and doesn't like to, discuss it or go with it, while Rock had a really good childhood growing up, and come to this, it's so diverse and real. And as the series goes along, obviously Rock deals with situations where he's meant to make choices, and a lot of these choices that he does end up making end up to backfire no matter what. And it twists Rock as a character. The further you get into the series, the more you're like, okay, so Rock is starting to succumb to this city. Not necessarily in the fact that he's killing people with his own hands, but just the plans and everything that he tries to do to save people never end up panning out, sadly, and somebody's always a step ahead of him, even though he has all these plans, because he was not made for that. Now, on top of that, we've got the other conflicts with Revy as well, the later we go on into the series. And sure, you got the other two that do have their little moments as well from the Lagoon squad. However, they're not necessarily nearly as important as Revy and Rock. Good characters, though, and the side characters in this show do add a lot to the table, and they do move the plot forward. Some are more important than others. However, the further you get into the series, and out of the, 24, 25 episodes, the more you get to see the downfall of everything and what kind of just happens to this group as a whole. Now, after that, you get into the 5-episode OVA that came out 4 years later from these in 2010. Now, I'm not a manga reader for this series. However, I have seen around that compared to the actual manga that it was adapted from, the OVA doesn't do justice, okay? And the problems I only have with Roberta's Blood Trail were the facts that our MCs don't really get much sunlight. The perspectives of where it's going and the cameras and who we're getting it from is a little obscure. And then the ending kind of falls flat. And it really sucks because the series is so good and well done. But, oh man, I still gave the very original series, the first part an 8, the second part a 9. The movie I gave an 8 as well. Now, they did get a lot more liberties to do with this OVA. There was more action, there was a little bit more nudity and swearing and just being able to do whatever you wanted to do. However, from what I get, that ending was so scuffed, it almost ruined it for me. But overall, this series was fantastic, and I don't know why people don't talk about it as much. I know like a lot of these darker series, people don't really tend to give as much credit, and that it's really shitty because it's a medium. It's not, it's nothing really super bad. I mean, sure, there's a couple bad things, but it's all perspective and knowing what the work is. It is fiction. There's no, really bad stuff on here, and it gets the job done. Granted, like I always say, and I have said earlier, everybody's got a different genre they love, and that's just it. However, I just feel like people don't give enough of a chance to ones, at least the American audience, I should say, to things that are slightly out of their comfort zone. And that's all perspective, and that's good for you. If that's your morals and that's your beliefs, that's awesome. However, Black Lagoon, if you have not seen Black Lagoon, I highly suggest doing it. It wasn't a life-changing series per se, but it definitely reached the peak of what I was looking for on the map, and it got me to really want to watch more of this genre, and I really wish there was more to this series. However, there is not. And if you feel like recommending me something in the comments, please do, because I would gladly watch it and talk about it. There's just so many, and it's hard to keep up track of, everything. And there are things that I even dislike, but that's for another time and another place. Overall, we get this great character conflict, mental issues that end up freaking just ruining somebody in the end of a life lesson. And the people that you would think would be the ruffians are actually learning a lot as well on the other spectrum. You get life lessons, you get character development, you get these changes, and it is really, really, really good. And the only complaint, like I said, I had was the OVA ending, but that's just a small little, flick of water. I feel like they could have done a little more, but you know what? For what they had and what they got, they did really good. And if you're into action and you're into some dirty, good old fun times, Black Lagoon is right up your alley. And hey, you know what? You end up not liking it, so be it. But I highly recommend this one. Give it a go, everyone. And until next time, this has been Squids, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.